Hi, I'm Dee. I'm here at Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, and today we're going to learn a little bit about the moon. If you look up in the sky at night and you see the moon, during the course of the month you'll notice that it's shaped differently. Sometimes it's big and round and we call that the full moon. Sometimes you're seeing only a little bit of it and we're calling that the crescent moon. And there's all kinds of things in between. We call those the moon phases. The moon really doesn't change shape, and it really doesn't give light of its own. It simply reflects the light of the sun. So whichever side of the moon happens to be facing the sun, that's the part we're going to see from Earth. We're going to do our own moonscape activity where you make some moon phases, and when we're done, you're going to have a nice poster to remind you of all the phases of the moon. So we're going to be making a poster like this with all of the moon phases on it. There are 8 moon phases, only 7 of them are on the poster because the 8th one, which is called the new moon, is when you don't see the moon at all because it's completely facing away from the Earth as it faces the sun. That's the moon that gives us eclipses, by the way. If you saw the eclipse a few years ago, never look right at the sun during an eclipse. Keep that in mind. But when the moon is little, and then it gets bigger, and then it gets smaller again, it actually does not go the same way we read, because we read from left to right, but the moon gets brighter from right to left. As it gets bigger, we call it waxing. So we have the waxing crescent that gets bigger to the first quarter, that gets bigger to the waxing gibbous, that gets bigger all the way to the full moon, and then it starts getting smaller again. And we have the waning gibbous, because waning means getting smaller, the third quarter, and the waning crescent. And then, not shown, is the new moon, completely dark. So we're going to make a poster just like this one. And to do this, we're going to have a little bit of fun with bubbles. Before we have our bubble fun, though, we want to draw the shape of the moon on some papers. And I found out this is easier if you do it before you paint the papers. So I'm going to have actually 4 of these, and I'm just going to have something that's round, and that's the size that I like, and I'm just going to draw a circle on it. And again, you're going to make 4 of these. You can make some more if you want, just to see so you can pick the best ones. You're going to need at least 4. To make our moons look all cool colors, to give them some craters basically, we need some water. And actually I'm going to put this in the little cup. So we don't need a whole lot of it. We need some paint, black paint. You can use poster paint or acrylic paint. I've done it with both and it works just as well. And we need some dish soap. Now how much we need, not really that much. You can kind of play around with the amounts until you see what works the best for you. But I usually put in just a couple of squirts because this is what's going to make it bubble. It also makes it washable, but you still want to be careful while you're doing this because you know if you get paint on your clothes or your furniture, sometimes it doesn't come out even if it says it's washable. So make sure wherever you're working, you have your parents' permission to do that. I've already laid down a paper just so I don't get a mess on my table. Now I'm going to need a straw. And I'm going to stir this up a little bit so you can see the whole thing gets black, but this is when the fun comes in. You can do this by yourself or you can get a partner to help you. If you have a partner helping you, one person's going to blow in the straw while the other person paints the moon. I'm going to do it myself. When you blow in the straw, don't blow really hard, just a little bit. See how it makes the bubbles come up? And I'm going to lay the moon down on those bubbles. Probably should take the straw out of the way first. I'm going to make some more. And I want to just do that enough so that I can see that it filled the whole circle. I'm going to do another one here. I don't have a circle on here. I'm just going to draw it real quick. I should have done that already. Always make sure you put the right end of the straw in your mouth. Don't suck on the paint end. Yuck. If it's not dark enough and you want it a little darker, just do it again. The more bubbles you put on here, the longer it's going to take to dry. And because I really don't want to sit here waiting while the paint dries, I did this one ahead of time, and it's ready for step number 2. Once you have all of your moons, you're going to pick the one that you like the best, and that's going to be your full moon. But first you need to cut them all out. Now some people do this on paper plates, and you can use paper plates for it, but that's kind of wasteful. So what I usually suggest people do is look in your recycle bin and find some paper that's clean on one side but dirty on the other. You can do this with envelopes. Sometimes you get things in your mailbox that you really don't want, and you can use those before you recycle them. It's always reuse before you recycle, right? So you're going to just cut these out, and I've got a few more that I did earlier that are dry, and you see they're all a little bit different. Now when we look at the real moon, we're always seeing the same thing. We're always seeing the same craters, but for your artwork, we're not going to worry about that. I'm going to pick the one that I like the best, and that's the one I'm going to use for my full moon. And to do my full moon, I really don't have to do anything except glue it down onto the paper. If you don't have long paper, you can take 2 short pieces of paper and tape them together. A little bit of tape here. And I just put my tape on the back where it won't show. And then on the front, I'm going to take my full moon, I think I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to glue that right in the center. And for right now, I'm just going to tape it in place because I might need to move it around a little bit. So I usually don't glue it down until I'm ready and I know that I'm done with it. Let me get that out of the way so I don't spill. Okay, now comes the hard part. Which one of these do I not care about? I'm going to just get rid of one because I only need 4. For the new moon, remember you don't have to do anything because we can't see the new moon, but we do have crescent moons and we have gibbous moons. And we can actually make all of those at once. We're going to put 2 of the moons together, and you can either draw this or you can just freehand it. I'm going to draw it on the back. I'm going to draw a crescent shape on one side. You might want to make that a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. And then I'm very carefully going to cut that out. And if you need to get help with the scissors, then please ask for help. Some people are better with scissors. Some people are just learning how to use them. And again, always make sure your parents are supervising. Now I have 2 gibbous moons and 2 crescent moons. The crescent moons are going to go on the edge of the paper so that they are angled out like that. The gibbous moons are going to go closer with the side that you cut facing the moon. The side that you cut is always the side that's going to face the full moon in the middle. Now what am I missing here? I'm missing the quarters, the first quarter and the third quarter. And to make that, all I have to do is cut this in half. Remember, the side that you cut always goes toward the moon. We're going to put that in the middle. And I'm just going to arrange these to make sure that I like the way they are. And then I'm going to glue them down. And I'm going to write the names of the phases underneath them. And you can do all kinds of fancy things to decorate your poster. But this will help you remember the phases of the moon. After you finish your poster, please take a picture of it and post it in the comments so we can see your artwork. This is Dee at Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, reminding you to stay safe and stay healthy. And if you want more activities like this, to visit nasa.gov for NASA at Home, NASA Kids Club, and NASA STEM engagement activities. Keep looking up.